I knew something was wrong the second I opened the banking app and saw the balance flashing back at me like a cruel joke. $14.27. Not $51,000, not even close. $14.27 damn cents. My heart didn't just drop, it cracked open right there in my chest. My emergency fund, the money I scraped together through 3 jobs during my divorce, gone. Every penny of it. I stared at the screen, blinking, thinking maybe I tapped the wrong account. Maybe the app was glitching. Maybe the universe was playing some kind of sick prank. But when I clicked view transactions, my stomach twisted so hard it felt like I'd swallowed broken glass. A series of withdrawals. Same amount, same dates, same location. And all of them linked to the account only one other person had access to because I trusted her. Aunt Denise, my mama's older sister. The woman who held my hand through the divorce, prayed over me, cooked for my daughter, told me, baby, God won't leave you empty. The woman who insisted I move my emergency fund into a temporary holding account she set up because my ex-husband had been so unpredictable. Just until the settlement clears, she said, I don't want him touching your money. I believed her. I trusted her. I put $51,000, every dime I had in this world, into an account she managed for me, and she drained it. I pressed my hand to my forehead, trying to stay calm, trying to breathe, but the betrayal felt like it had claws. I clicked her name in my contacts. My thumb hovered over call, but my hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. Before I could make the call, the phone rang first. Her name lit up my screen. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The timing was too perfect. She must have felt something, known something. Maybe she wanted to confess. Maybe she wanted to fix it. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. I answered, Auntie, where's my money? Silent, a deep, heavy kind of silence that told me she knew exactly what I was talking about. Then she finally breathed out, oh, Lord, here we go. Here we go. My blood ran cold. Denise, don't play with me, I said, my voice cracking. Every cent is gone. All $51,000 gone. You told me. I told you I would help you, and I did. You don't appreciate nothing. After everything I've done for you, raising you when your mama passed and letting you stay with me when you had nowhere after that divorce, feeding you and that child. My eyes filled with hot tears. That doesn't give you the right to steal from me. That money was owed, she said, calmly, like she was discussing the weather. Owed? You think life was free all them years? You think food and light bills paid themselves? You think I got compensated for every sacrifice I made? Girl, please. I felt like she had slapped me hard. Owed, I whispered. You think my emergency fund, the one I built for me and Nia, belonged to you? You wouldn't have an emergency fund without me putting the roof over your head, she threw back. So yes, I took what I deserved. Deserved. That word nearly broke me. My knees buckled and I slid down the kitchen cabinet. Please tell me you're lying. Please tell me this is some kind of mistake. It ain't no mistake, she said, and I'm done talking about it. The line went dead. Just like that, like she hadn't just destroyed me. I stared at the phone, numb. My pulse throbbed in my ears. My mouth tasted metallic, like fear, like rage, like heartbreak. I wanted to scream, but my daughter was asleep in the next room, and I refused to let her wake up to the sound of her mama breaking. Instead, I whispered, no, this can't be real. But it was, and it was about to get worse. Not even 10 minutes later, my phone dinged, the family group chat. Aunt Denise, y'all pray for Corey. She's accusing me of stealing from her. My cousin Layla, stealing from your own auntie? Girl, you tripping. My Uncle Ronald, after everything Denise done for you, shameful. My heart pounded so hard I grabbed my chest. They believed her. They believed her. Another message appeared. Aunt Denise, baby, we'll talk to you when you calm down. Don't embarrass yourself further. Embarrass myself? The fury inside me ignited like dry wood catching fire. I hit send. The moment I did, someone left the group chat. Me. I left. I couldn't watch them twist this, gaslight me, humiliate me. I couldn't sit there and read lies about myself while the woman who stole my future played victim. I dropped the phone and pressed both my hands to my face. God, why? But deep down I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. A storm was coming and I could feel it gathering, building, about to crack open the sky of my life in a way that would test every ounce of strength I had left. And the first strike hit when I heard a soft voice behind me. Mama, why are you crying? I froze. For a moment, I couldn't move. My daughter's tiny voice cut straight through my anger, slicing it into pieces and scattering them across the floor. I turned slowly, wiping my face. even though the tears kept slipping through my fingers like they had somewhere better to be. Naya stood there in her pink pajamas, clutching her stuffed elephant to her chest, her eyes wide and sleepy. "Mama, you okay?" she whispered. I forced a smile, the kind that felt stitched on with shaking hands. "Yeah, baby, Mama just had a long day." She stared at me, studying my face the way only a child can when they know you're lying but love you too much to say it out loud. She walked over and climbed into my lap, wrapping her small arms around my neck, her cheek pressed against mine, warm and soft. And that did it. The tears I'd been choking back spilled over again. "I'm sorry, Mama." She didn't even know what she was apologizing for. She just felt my pain, absorbed it like a sponge. I hugged her tighter. "No, baby. You didn't do anything." But I couldn't sit there and fall apart, not in front of her. Not when the ground beneath us felt like it was trembling, ready to split open. So I stood up and wiped my cheeks again. "Come on. Let's get you back to bed." After tucking her in and kissing her forehead, I walked out of her room and gently closed the door. The second it latched, my knees almost gave out again. I pressed my back to the wall and let out a long, shaky breath. "Think, Koiki, think." I walked to the kitchen table, grabbed my laptop, and opened the bank statements again. My hand shook, but this time the shaking wasn't fear. It was something darker, something sharper. This woman stole $51,000 from me. Not the world, not a stranger. My aunt, my mama's sister, the woman who held me when my mother died, the woman who told everyone she raised me, even though half the time I raised myself. And now she was painting me as ungrateful. My phone buzzed again. "Layla, girl, you embarrassing the family." I deleted the notification so fast my thumb stung. I opened the income records, screenshots of transfers, the messages she sent me to trust her with the account. It all sat in front of me like evidence from a crime scene. She didn't just steal my money. She stole my safety, my stability, my chance at rebuilding after surviving a marriage that almost broke me. A noise buzzed in my ear, the faint ringing that comes when anger coils up tight enough to shake loose something inside. I grabbed a notebook and pen, writing everything down: dates, amounts, transfers, the account number she made me open, even the times she called to check in. If she wanted to make this a battle, she had picked the wrong niece. I didn't get through a divorce just to let someone take what I bled for. But the truth hit just as hard. I had no proof she promised to safeguard the money. I had willingly moved it. That alone made my stomach sink. Still, I kept writing. Then my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't her. It was my father. My chest tightened. We weren't close, not since I was a teenager. He'd remarried, moved across town, started a new life, and I was barely a footnote in it. So when his name lit up, I knew Denise had already told him something. I answered, "Daddy, what the hell is going on?" He barked. There it was. "Did Denise call you?" I asked quietly. "She said you accused her of stealing from you. You know how crazy that sounds, Koiki? That woman took you in when nobody else would. She loved you like her own." I shut my eyes. "She did take it, Daddy. I have proof. You've been emotional lately. This divorce." My patience snapped. "This has nothing to do with my divorce. My emergency fund is gone." I trusted her. And she said she used that money to help cover what she spent on you over the years. And to be honest, she ain't wrong. Something inside me cracked. Are y'all serious? She drained $51,000. You need to calm yourself before you say something you regret. I stepped away from the counter as if the floor itself had become too dangerous to stand on. "So you're taking her side? Watch your tone." I laughed, a bitter, disbelieving sound. "Tone? You worried about Tone while she stole everything from me?" "Baby, listen. No, you listen. I'm not crazy. I'm not emotional. I'm not ungrateful. I'm a woman trying to rebuild my life, and somebody I trusted just ripped the foundation out from under me." He sighed heavily. "Well, maybe you should have been more careful with your money." That line sliced deeper than anything Denise said. I didn't even say goodbye. I just hung up. The kitchen clock ticked in the silence that followed. Somewhere in the apartment, an old pipe hummed. My heart beat like it was trying to escape. For the first time in a long while, I felt completely alone.
I stared at the bank statements one more time. My throat tightened, but beneath all the pain, something else began to rise. A slow, steady burn, resolute. If they wanted to turn this into a family war, fine, but I wasn't going into battle unarmed. I reached for my laptop and typed into the search bar, "Financial theft by family member, legal steps." One link after another popped up. Police report, fraud investigation, bank dispute, civil claim. Every option looked terrifying, but losing everything was even more terrifying. I clicked the first link and started reading. Then, in the quiet of the night, my phone buzzed again. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "You don't know the whole story. Call me tonight." I frowned. Before I could react, a second message came in. "It's about Denise."
The unknown number glowed on my screen like it carried heat. I stared at it for a long moment. My breath caught halfway in my chest. My fingers hovered above the keypad, the question spinning in my mind like a loose wheel. Who would text me about Denise, and why now? My first instinct was to ignore it. My second instinct was to call it immediately. My third instinct, the one that finally won, was fear. Not fear of danger, but fear of more truth, because the truth had already gutted me once. I wasn't sure how much more I could take tonight. Still, I typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Then the response came, "Can't say yet, but you need to know she's hiding things, big things." My skin prickled. I pressed the phone to my chest, forcing myself to inhale slowly. The room suddenly felt too small, like the walls were inching closer by the second. The hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock, everything sounded amplified. I typed back, "Tell me who you are or I'm not responding." A full minute passed. Then, "Meet me tomorrow, 3 p.m. at Cafe Monroe. I'll explain everything." My heart squeezed. Cafe Monroe was 2 blocks from Denise's church, a small spot Denise used to love, a place she always said had holy bread pudding. Why meet there? Why not just talk now? Why me? I typed back, "No. Tell me who you are or I'm not responding." No response. Nothing. Not even the typing dots. I tried calling the number. Straight to voicemail. Not even a ring. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. A part of me whispered, "This could be dangerous." But another part whispered louder, "Something isn't adding up." I tried to sit still, but the adrenaline had crawled into my bones. I stood up and walked to the kitchen sink, splashing water on my face. The cold shock grounded me for 1 second, maybe 2. Then anger rushed back in. I grabbed the folder where I kept all my financial documents. Settlement papers, pay stubs, Naya's medical forms, everything. I spread the papers across the table, searching for something, anything that could help me build a case. But every path I took hit a wall. No written agreement, no text where she explicitly stated she would return the money, no paper trail except the transfers, and even those were voluntary. Voluntary. The word burned. I wiped a tear before it could fall. "No, Corey, don't break. Not tonight." My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Layla. "Girl, you causing drama for no reason. Auntie been there for you. Be grateful." I threw the phone onto the couch. If I read one more person calling me ungrateful, I might scream loud enough for the neighbors to call the police. I walked to the window and stared into the night. The streetlight flickered, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. A stray cat trotted by, disappearing under a parked car. Everything looked normal, peaceful. Meanwhile, my life was unraveling like a cheap sweater. A memory hit me then, one I hadn't thought about in years. I was 12. Denise had taken me and a few cousins school shopping. I remember her bragging loudly in the store, "These kids lucky to have me. I spend my own money to make sure they look decent." And the look she gave me when the cashier asked if I wanted a bag, like I owed her something. I'd ignored it then, but now I understood it. Her kindness always came with a debt. She just waited until the balance was big enough to take my life savings. I rubbed my arms, trying to shake the chill settling over me. I picked up my phone, again, scrolling through old messages with Denise. There were dozens.
Check-ins, reminders, voice notes, prayer emojis. She had wrapped herself around my life so tightly, I didn't even know she was squeezing. A soft knock at my door startled me. My breath froze. It was nearly midnight. I tiptoed to the door and looked through the peephole. Standing there was my father. I stepped back. My pulse spiked. Why was he here? After that phone call? At this hour? I unlocked the door cautiously and opened it a crack. Daddy? He pushed the door open wider, walking past me like he paid the rent. We need to talk. His cologne mixed with the cold night air as he stepped inside. He pulled out one of the kitchen chairs and sat down heavily, rubbing his forehead. I crossed my arms. What are you doing here? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked around the apartment at the scattered papers, the dim lights, the exhaustion probably written all over my face. Then he sighed. Denise called me again. Of course she did. What now? I asked. He met my eyes, and something in his expression, something almost regretful, made my stomach twist. She said you might try to go to the police. I lifted my chin. And what if I do? His face tightened. Corey, don't. She ain't built to handle something like that. Was I supposed to be built to handle losing everything? He didn't answer. Daddy, I continued, my voice trembling but strong, she stole my future. That money was for me and Naya, for a home, for our safety. She took it all without blinking. He looked down at his hands, and then he said something that made my heart stop. Corey, there's something you don't know. I froze. He swallowed hard. Your aunt? She's in trouble. Real trouble. I stared at him. What kind of trouble? He hesitated. Then, she owes a lot of people money. My throat tightened. How much? He exhaled shakily. More than 51,000. My fingers curled against my palms. So she used my money to fix her mess. He closed his eyes like the guilt was finally hitting him. She said she did what she had to do. I stepped back. And y'all expected me to just accept it? Before he could answer, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. If you want the truth, don't trust anyone in your family, not even him. My breath caught, and then another message came through. Meet me tomorrow. It's bigger than you think. I barely slept that night. My brain kept replaying the messages. My father's face, Denise's cold words, and that mysterious text telling me not to trust anyone, not even him. By the time the sun dragged itself across the sky, I was already dressed, already pacing, already mentally preparing myself for whatever Cafe Monroe held at 3 p.m. Nia sat at the small kitchen table, swinging her legs as she ate her cereal. She kept glancing at me. Kids can smell stress like smoke. I tried to keep my voice light when I told her I'd pick her up early from aftercare. She asked if everything was okay. I told her yes. She knew it wasn't, but she trusted me enough not to push. After dropping her off at school, I sat in my car for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel. I didn't want to involve Nia in any of this mess, but I also didn't want to walk into whatever this was alone. Something about the mystery of it all pressed against my ribs, like a warning. I drove to the bank first, hoping I'd get a miracle. Maybe they'd flag the transactions. Maybe the fraud department would see something I'd missed. Maybe someone would point out a loophole that meant Denise couldn't legally wipe out my account. But the man behind the desk gave me the same sympathetic script I'd already read online. We see you initiated the transfers yourself. Without any documented fraud or coercion, it's not something we can reverse. My chest tightened. So she can just take everything and walk away? He frowned. Morally, no. Legally, it's complicated. Complicated, a word that never means anything good. He suggested filing a civil claim and speaking to a lawyer. I thanked him, even though the words tasted bitter, and walked out. By the time the clock neared 3 p.m., my stomach felt like a nest of angry wasps. I parked across the street from Cafe Monroe, staring at the entrance. Cars passed. People walked. Life went on, and all I could think was, who is waiting for me? I checked the unknown number again. No new messages. Finally, with a shaky breath, I walked inside. The cafe smelled like warm cinnamon and roasted coffee beans. A bell chimed softly as I opened the door. It was dim and intimate, with amber lights and quiet chatter. I scanned the room, my heart hammering, and then I saw her. At a small booth near the window sat a woman I recognized immediately, even though I hadn't seen her in almost 15 years. Tanya, Denise's old friend, the one my mother used to warn me about, the one who disappeared from our lives suddenly, as if she had never existed. The woman Denise used to call her ride or die until they apparently weren't riding or dying together anymore. Tanya waved me over. My throat tightened. I approached slowly and sat across from her. She leaned in. "Hey, baby girl, you grew up." Her voice was warm, but her eyes carried something heavier, something sad. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "I'm the one who texted you last night." My heart pounded. "Why?" She exhaled, twisting the spoon in her coffee. "Because you deserve the truth, and because Denise is in deeper trouble than she told your family." I crossed my arms. "I know she owes people money. My father told me." Tanya blinked. "He told you that?" The surprise in her voice made a chill pass through me. "Yes, last night. He came to my apartment." She leaned back slowly. "Well, then maybe this won't hit you quite as hard." My chest tightened. "Hit me how?" Tanya looked around the cafe before lowering her voice. "Your aunt didn't just owe money. She owed money to the wrong people." I swallowed. "What does that mean?" "She got involved in some real messy stuff. Fast money stuff, loan sharks, illegal credit lines. She borrowed thousands she couldn't pay back. And instead of fixing it the right way, she covered her tracks however she could, including using family." My stomach flipped. "So she stole from me to what? Save herself?" Tanya's expression softened. "Baby, she didn't take it just to pay her debts." I stared at her. "Then what?" Tanya hesitated, her eyes glistening. "She took it because she's running." Running. The word felt like a punch. "What do you mean running?" I demanded. "She's planning to leave town. She's been selling stuff, closing accounts, cutting ties. She told me she was leaving by the end of the month." My heart hammered violently. "She was going to disappear with my money?" "Yes," Tanya whispered. "And once she's gone, you'll never see her again. Or your money." My mind spun. Images flashed. Denise smiling in my kitchen, Denise praying over me, Denise hugging Nia. And behind it all, lies stacked like bricks. I felt nauseous. "I didn't text you to hurt you," Tanya said carefully. "I texted you because I couldn't watch her do this to you, not after everything your mama did for us." My head snapped up. "My mom?" Tanya nodded slowly. "Your mother saved Denise from something once. Something big. And Denise always said she'd pay her back one day. But when she hit rock bottom this year, she forgot that promise. She only thought about herself." My breath caught. "What did my mom save her from?" Tanya looked down at the table, her fingers trembling slightly. "She saved her from going to jail." The booth suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. "What?" I choked. "For what?" Before Tanya could answer, the cafe door chimed loudly. We both turned, and there, standing in the entrance, scanning the cafe until her eyes landed on me, was Layla, my cousin. Her jaw clenched, her nostrils flared, her gaze locked on Tanya, then on me, and she started walking toward our table with furious, determined steps. Tanya whispered urgently, "We don't have much time." Layla reached the booth. "Corey," she hissed through her teeth, "Auntie knows you're here, and she told me to bring you home." She wasn't asking. She was warning, and the look in her eyes told me something had shifted in the family, something dangerous.
Lila didn't sit. She didn't blink. She just stood over the table like she was blocking the sun itself, arms stiff at her sides, fists tight enough to make her knuckles pale. Her eyes flicked between me and Tanya like she'd caught us plotting a crime. Tanya straightened, but her hands slid under the table, not threatening, just cautious, protective almost. "You need to slow down, Lila," she said quietly. "You, of all people, you think anybody in the family gonna listen to you?" Tanya's lips tightened, but she didn't rise to it. I stood up slowly. "Lila, what are you doing here?" She leaned in so close I could smell the peppermint gum on her breath. "I came to stop you from doing something stupid." Something in her tone made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Define stupid. Meeting with her. She jerked her head toward Tanya. "Talking about Auntie behind her back, making all of us look bad. You think this is smart? You think this is helping?" I felt my jaw clench. "Lila, I didn't start this. Denise stole my money." She rolled her eyes dramatically. "Here we go again with the victim act." Victim act. Those words hit me harder than they should have. Tanya shifted slightly, folding her arms. "Corey has the right to know the truth." Lila rounded on her. "And you need to stay out of family business." "This is my business," Tanya said, her voice low but firm. "Denise pulled me into this long before you were even old enough to tie your shoes." Lila looked like she might explode. "Why are you talking to her?" she asked me, jabbing a finger in Tanya's direction. "Auntie says she's a liar, a snake. She told me Tanya ruined her life years ago." I frowned. "Ruined? How?" Lila crossed her arms. "She didn't tell me. She just said Tanya nearly destroyed the family once, and she ain't letting her do it again."
Tanya closed her eyes for a moment, exhaling slowly like she'd heard this lie so many times it no longer hurt. When she opened them, something in her gaze hardened. Your aunt is afraid Corey will learn the truth about what really happened. Lila scoffed, waving her hand. Girl, please. Enough, I snapped, louder than I meant to. Both women froze. I took a steadying breath. Lila, listen, my money is gone. $51,000. Everything I built for me and Nia. Everything I saved after the divorce. I'm here because I'm trying to understand why my aunt would do something like that. Lila's expression shifted just slightly. For a second, I saw uncertainty crack through her anger, but it vanished as quickly as it came. You shouldn't be digging, she said quietly. Auntie said your stress is getting to you. She said we need to protect you from yourself. I blinked, stunned. Protect me from myself? I'm not dangerous. I'm not unstable. I'm broke because of her. Lila shook her head slowly. You don't get it. Auntie's been crying all day. She said you're attacking her. She said you're threatening the family. I stared at her. Threatening the family? Lila, I haven't even raised my voice to her. She's scared. Lila said stubbornly. She's scared you're going to take this too far. I should take it far, I hissed. She stole my life savings. Telling you to be grateful isn't stealing. For a moment, I thought my legs might give out. But then Tanya spoke. Lila, did Denise tell you she's planning to leave town? Lila's whole face changed. Shock flickered first, then denial, then anger. You lying. Tanya didn't flinch. You can believe what you want, but Denise is packing up her life piece by piece. I've seen her selling furniture, closing accounts, dropping people she owes. She took that money so she could run. Lila shook her head violently. No. Auntie would never leave. Our whole family is here. Tanya leaned forward. Your whole family? Except the people she owes, the ones who've given her deadlines. Real deadlines. I watched the panic ripple across her face before she masked it with more anger. You just trying to mess with her. You always been jealous. Auntie told me stories about how you, Tanya cut her off sharply. Don't repeat the story she told you. You weren't there. You don't know anything about what happened. Your aunt lied then, and she's lying now. Lila's voice rose. Why should we trust you? And then Tanya said something I never expected. Because I took the fall for your aunt once, and she let me. Silence. The cafe noise faded into a vague hum. Lila blinked. What? Tanya nodded slowly. When we were younger, Denise got mixed up in some things she shouldn't have. Illegal things. Your mother, God bless her, begged me to take the blame so Denise wouldn't go to jail. Said she couldn't bear another heartbreak in the family. And I did. I took the charge. I served the probation, I lost everything, and Denise walked away clean. My chest tightened. So that's what Mama saved her from? Tanya swallowed hard. Yes, your mother loved your aunt more than your aunt ever loved anyone. Denise has been running from that guilt ever since. Lila looked stunned. That's not true. Auntie would have told us. She didn't, because she doesn't want you to know who she really is. And she definitely wouldn't have told you that she used Corey's money to buy herself time before she disappears for good. That did it. Lila slammed her hand on the table, making our cups rattle. Stop lying! Auntie would never leave us. She was breathing hard, like her whole world was suddenly crumbling and she didn't know where to place the pieces. I reached out gently. Lila, what if Tanya isn't lying? What if Denise took the money because she's running from something worse? Lila shook her head again, but softer this time. No, Corey. Auntie wouldn't abandon us. She wouldn't leave me. Her phone buzzed. She looked down, her face drained of color. What is it? I asked. She swallowed. Auntie, she whispered. She just texted me. Her voice cracked. She says she's leaving town tonight.
Lila's hands were shaking so hard, she almost dropped her phone. She stared at the screen like it had personally betrayed her. I stepped closer. What did she say? Lila swallowed, her voice barely a whisper. She said she needs space, that the family doesn't appreciate her, and she's going to start fresh, somewhere new. She blinked rapidly, her breath uneven. She said she'll call me when she's settled. She didn't even say goodbye. Tanya sighed softly. That sounds exactly like her. Lila snapped her head up. No! You don't get to say that. You've been poisoning everyone against her since you got here. Tanya held her gaze. Then look at the message again and ask yourself if anything I said sounds like a lie. Lila hesitated. just long enough for fear to seep into her expression. I watched her crumble in slow motion, her shoulders sinking, the confidence she'd walked in with dissolving right in front of us. For the first time she arrived, I saw something real in her eyes. Not anger, not loyalty, but hurt. How long? Lila choked out. How long has she been planning to leave? Tanya exhaled. A while. At least a couple weeks. Lila squeezed her eyes shut as if the truth itself burned. She didn't tell me, she whispered. She told me everything. She's my favorite. She always said I was the only one who understood her. I resisted the urge to say, she only told you what made you useful. Instead, I stepped closer. Lina, she didn't tell anyone, not even me, and she stole $51,000 from my account to do it. She flinched. The reality was starting to corner her, pressing into the space where denial used to sit comfortably. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. She stared at it, confused, then read the message out loud. Don't listen to them. Remember what I told you about Tanya? And do not get involved in Corey's drama. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Her voice cracked. Tanya crossed her arms, jaw tight. She's trying to isolate you. Classic Denise. You stop talking like you know her. I do, Tanya said quietly. Better than you ever have. I watched Lila's breathing grow shallow, her fingers tightening around the phone until her knuckles whitened. Then abruptly, she grabbed her purse. I need to go. I stepped forward. Go where? To find her, she said, wiping her face with the back of her hand. To stop her from leaving. She listens to me. She loves me. Tanya shook her head, voice steady but firm. Lila, if she's already packed her things, she's not going to stop. Not even for you. Lila glared through her tears. You don't know that. You don't know anything. She pushed past us both, hard enough for my shoulder to bump the wall, and stormed toward the exit. Just as she reached the door, I called after her. Lila, if you find her, call me, please. I deserve answers too. She hesitated, her back to us, her breath shaking. Then, without turning around, she said, if Auntie says it's okay, and she was gone. The cafe door slammed shut behind her, rattling the windows. Tanya let out a long breath and rubbed her temples. This is going to get worse before it gets better. My throat felt tight. She's really leaving. She's really running away with everything I have. Tanya turned to me, her expression shifting, less guarded, more determined. We're not done yet, Corey. There's still something you need to see. I blinked. See? She nodded. Something your mother left behind. Something she gave to me before she passed, because she knew Denise would try this one day. My heart stopped. What? Why would Mama give Tanya something instead of leaving it directly to me? Tanya placed the envelope gently into my hands. She told me, she whispered, that you wouldn't believe the truth unless it came from her.
The moment that envelope touched my hands, something inside me broke open, like all the old grief I'd been stacking neatly on the shelf finally tumbled down at once. My mother's handwriting, smooth, cursive, slanted just a little, the same way she used to label jars of peach preserves in our old kitchen. Seeing it again after so many years was like being yanked backward in time, thrown into a memory I wasn't ready for. My thumb trembled as I traced the ink. Tanya, why did she give this to you? I whispered. Why didn't she just hand it to me? Tanya's expression softened in a way I hadn't seen before. Because, Corey, you were too forgiving. Mama knew you loved Denise too much to see her clearly. She told me one day you'd need the truth, not the version Denise would twist to her advantage. My heart thudded so hard I felt it in my throat. I stared at the envelope, but I couldn't bring myself to open it yet. My fingers felt heavy, my chest hurt. What truth? I whispered. Tanya lowered herself onto the cafe chair, gesturing for me to sit too. Open it. But I couldn't. Not yet. I sank into the seat across from her, clutching the envelope like it was a piece of burning coal. What's inside? I asked, my voice cracking. Something Mama wanted you to have. Something she warned me would matter when Denise showed her true colors. Her voice was steady, but her eyes said she'd held this secret a long time. Maybe too long. My stomach tightened. Why now? Because, she said gently, your sister just ran off with $51,000 from your account. Mama's letter, it's the missing piece, and it's time. The cafe hummed around us, cups clinking, low chatter, soft jazz playing from tinny speakers, but it all felt far away, like I was underwater. All I could focus on was the weight of that envelope. Slowly, I slid my finger under the flap. It didn't open easily. The paper was old, sealed with glue that had dried brittle. It tore unevenly like it resisted being opened after all these years. Inside was a folded sheet of lined notebook paper, the kind Mama always used, and tucked behind it, something thicker, a document. My breath hitched. I unfolded the letter first. My mother's voice came back to me immediately, gentle, warm, always patient. My sweet girl. It began. My vision blurred. Already I felt tears threatening. If you're reading this, it means Denise has done what I feared she would do. I need you to know none of this is your fault. My hand flew to my mouth. The words were so deliberate, so certain, like she knew. Tanya watched me carefully as I read. When you were little, you saw the good in everyone. You still do. It is your greatest gift, and the reason I'm proud of you every single day. But Denise sees your heart as something she can use. A painful chill crawled down my spine. She has always been resentful of how you move through the world. Graceful, steady, determined. She makes choices based on desperation. You make choices based on hope, and she knows the difference. My throat closed, tears slid down my face, one after another. I couldn't give this to you while I was alive, because Denise would have found a way to twist it. I'm giving it to Tanya because she sees more clearly than either of us, and she loves you enough to hand you the truth when the time comes. I looked at Tanya again. Her eyes were glossy, but she didn't look away. I continued reading. Enclosed is the record you need, something I knew would protect you one day. You are stronger than you think, my girl, and you are not alone, not even now. Remember that. Love, always and forever, Mama. My breath stuttered, and I let out a broken sound I couldn't swallow back. The letter shook violently in my hands. Mama, I whispered. She knew. She knew Denise was capable of this. Tanya nodded slowly. She saw things before we did. I wiped my face, but the tears kept coming. What's the record? I whispered, barely able to get the words out. Tanya gestured to the sturdier paper I'd found behind the letter. Look! My fingers trembled as I lifted it. It was a legal document. I blinked once, twice, then leaned forward, reading every line like my life depended on it. The heading read, Notice of Custodial Account Beneficiary Change, 2006. My heart stopped. It listed my name as the sole beneficiary on an account my mother had opened years before. But under that, something else caught my eye. Secondary beneficiary, authorized access removed. Removed? Removed. The word repeated in my mind, echoing like a bell tolling doom. I felt the blood drain from my face. Mama, she took Denise off the account? Tanya nodded slowly. Yes, but why would she? Her voice was steady, resolute, because Denise already tried to take money before, more than once. The cafe air went cold around us. What? I whispered, my voice barely there. Tanya swallowed hard. Mama didn't talk about it because she didn't want you to see your sister that way. But Denise took money, small amounts at first, from Mama's savings, lied about it, made excuses. I shook my head. No, sheep. Tanya said firmly, leaning closer. Your mother removed Denise from the account for a reason. She didn't trust her. She put everything under your name because she wanted to protect what she built. My hands went numb. Denise hadn't just acted out of desperation. She'd done something she'd done before. Patterns. History. Repeating itself. I stared frozen at the document through blurry vision. All this time, I'd believed Denise was the broken one, the one who needed help and grace, the one who hurt people accidentally, never deliberately, but Mama had known better. She knew the truth I refused to see. Tanya touched my arm gently. There's more. I blinked. What more? She took a shaky breath, reaching into her bag again. This time, she pulled out a flash drive. Mama asked me to keep this too, she said quietly, just in case. My stomach twisted with dread. What's on it? Tanya looked me dead in the eyes. Financial records, screenshots, copies of transactions Denise made under your mother's name. My entire body went cold. No, I whispered. No, she did, Tanya whispered. And I think she's been planning this long before your divorce. My pulse roared in my ears. All this time, I murmured, voice cracking. She's been stealing from the people who loved her most. Tanya nodded solemnly. And she knew you were vulnerable right now. That's why she struck. When you were hurt. When you were tired. When you trust her without thinking. The ache in my chest turned sharp. Anger, grief, betrayal, all twisting together. But beneath the pain, something else stirred. Something stronger. Something Mama must have known would rise in me eventually. Strength. Resolute. I folded the letter carefully and placed it back into the envelope, holding it against my heart. Finally, I stood. Tanya, I said quietly, I'm done sitting still. She nodded. Good. I exhaled shakily, wiping the last of my tears. I'm going to get my money back. Tanya's eyes sharpened. Then there's something else you need to know. Denise isn't leaving alone. My breath caught. What do you mean? Tanya hesitated, her mouth tightening, as if choosing the words carefully. She's meeting someone, and that someone isn't family. My heart thundered. Who, Tanya? But just before she answered, the cafe door flew open and Layla stumbled back inside, her face pale and terrified. Aunt Corey, she gasped. I rushed to her. Layla, what happened? She looked at me with wide, shaking eyes. I found her, and you're not going to believe who she's with.
Lila collapsed into the chair Tanya had just vacated, her chest rising and falling like she'd run a marathon. Her hair stuck to her forehead, and her fingers trembled so violently she dropped her phone twice before she managed to hold onto it. I crouched beside her. Lila, breathe. What happened? Where's Denise? She shook her head, eyes wide and glossy. Aunt Corey, she's not alone. She wasn't running away by herself. Tanya's jaw tightened. We know that much. But who's she with? Lila swallowed hard, hugging herself. I saw them together at the bus station on Jefferson. She was standing with this man. My stomach dropped. A man? I asked slowly. What man? I don't know, Lila cried. Tall, dark skin, beard, maybe late 40s. He had this big suitcase and was talking to her like they already had some kind of plan. She wiped her face with her sleeve. They looked like they'd been meeting in secret. A chill crawled up my back. Lila, start from the beginning. What happened when you left here? She sniffed hard, nodding. Okay. I took an Uber straight to her apartment. Well, her old apartment. She wasn't there. The door was already empty, like she'd cleaned out fast. Her voice wavered, like she was never planning to come back. That hurt more than I expected. She continued. So I asked the neighbor if she'd seen anything. She said Denise left this morning with 2 big bags. Said she seemed real anxious. Kept looking over her shoulder. Lila rubbed her forehead. Then I remembered the bus station. She always used it when she didn't want people knowing where she was going. Tanya folded her arms. Makes sense. Lila's voice dropped to a trembling whisper. So I went there and I saw her. With him. She pointed to her phone, thrusting it at me. My hands trembled as I grabbed it. Lila had snapped a picture. Not the best quality, but clear enough. Denise was standing near the ticket kiosk, her hood up, her body angled toward a man with a large duffel bag slung across his shoulder. They were close. Too close. And Denise was smiling. My throat tightened. Do you know him? I asked. Lila shook her head. No, but he knew her. I saw him touch her back, like they were together. Something unraveled in my chest. Anger, betrayal, shock, all tangling into something heavier than anything I'd felt so far. Tanya took the phone from me and zoomed in. Her eyes narrowed. I know him. Lila and I both snapped our heads toward her. What? I gasped. How?
Who is he? Tanya exhaled slowly, like she dreaded this moment. His name is Marcus Dean. The name hit like a punch. Familiar, but faint, like something from long ago. I frowned. Should I know who he is? No, Tanya said firmly. But Denise does. She's known him for years. Lila's face crumpled. Who is he? Tanya hesitated. Back when Mama was still alive, Marcus helped Denise. She was in trouble, money trouble, owed people she shouldn't have owed. Marcus got her out of it. My heart pounded. Why didn't Mama ever tell me this? Because Mama believed in second chances, but Denise never stopped dealing with him. Mama thought it was done, but Denise, she got deeper. Marcus isn't some friend. He's dangerous. The kind of man who makes deals that come with consequences. Lila looked horrified. You mean he's like a criminal? Tanya met her eyes. The kind who doesn't care whose life gets ruined as long as he gets paid. The cafe felt suddenly too small, the air too thin. My heart slammed in my chest. So what? I whispered. Denise stole my money to pay him off? Tanya shook her head. No. Look at them. That's not someone collecting debt. That's someone she's teaming up with. The words hit me like ice. Teaming up? This wasn't just about desperation. This was a plan. Lila's breaths grew ragged. Aunt Corey, she bought 2 tickets. I saw. They were headed to Atlanta. Tanya cursed under her breath. Makes sense. He's got connections there, people who can help them disappear for a while. I stood abruptly, gripping the table for balance. All this time, Denise wasn't overwhelmed. She wasn't cornered. She wasn't desperate. She was planning this, planning to leave, planning to take everything I had left. Tanya stood too and placed a steadying hand on my arm. Corey, listen to me. This isn't the end. This just means the stakes are higher. Lila wiped her face. Auntie, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. She... I knelt beside her, taking her hands. This isn't your fault. None of it. She sobbed into my shoulder, and I held her until her breath steadied. Then I stood, my voice low, thick with emotion, but no longer shaking. I'm done letting her run my life. I'm done letting her take from me. Mama left me proof, and now I know what I'm dealing with. Tanya nodded. Good, because there's something else you need to see. My stomach twisted. What now? Tanya pulled out her phone and scrolled through her photos before handing it to me. Marcus isn't just some random criminal. He was connected to one of your mother's old accounts. I froze. What? Tanya nodded. I think he and Denise have been planning this for a long time, maybe even before your divorce. My pulse hammered at my temples. How long? I whispered. Years. Tanya said. Maybe more. Anger rippled through my bloodstream like fire. All this time, while I cried through my divorce, while I got back on my feet, while I built that emergency fund dollar by dollar, my own sister was plotting behind my back, and she wasn't even doing it alone. I turned to Lila. Where were they when you left? At the kiosk, she said shakily, trying to hide, but it looked like they hadn't boarded yet. They were waiting for something. Tanya exhaled sharply. Then we still have a chance. My breath caught. A chance to do what? She lifted her chin, eyes burning with fierce determination, to stop them before they leave town.
The ride to the bus station felt like the longest 10 minutes of my life. Tanya drove like she had somewhere important to be, which she did, and I sat in the passenger seat gripping Mama's envelope so tightly the edges cut into my fingers. Lila sat in the back, knees pulled to her chest, staring out the window like she was afraid the world outside might collapse if she blinked. The city blurred by. Street lights, fast food signs, the glow of brake lights, all blending together in streaks of frantic color. My heart thudded against my ribs in quick, painful bursts. She really planned this. I whispered to no one. She really meant to leave me with nothing. Tanya kept her eyes on the road. She thought you wouldn't fight back. But she forgot whose daughter you are. I looked down at Mama's handwriting, the familiar loops and curves. Strength radiated from those lines. My mother speaking through time, steadying me. Lila spoke up, her voice tiny. I still can't believe she lied to me like that. She said she needed space. She didn't say anything about leaving with him. Her voice cracked on the last word. I turned in my seat,
meeting her eyes in the rearview mirror. Baby, Denise lies when the truth doesn't serve her. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. She swallowed hard. I thought I mattered to her. You do, I said, just not in the way you deserve. Tanya muttered, she uses people, Lila. That's who she's been for a long time. We arrived at the bus station a few minutes later. It was busy, crowded with people rushing to catch late-night departures, dragging suitcases, juggling backpacks, calling out to drivers. The neon open 24-hour sign flickered like it was undecided about staying alive. We stepped inside and the noise hit us immediately. Rolling wheels, muffled announcements, chatter, the echo of footsteps. It felt chaotic. On edge, fitting, considering what we were walking into. Tanya scanned the huge lobby. They're still here. I can feel it. I didn't want to admit it, but so could I. Betrayal has a temperature, a vibration, an unmistakable pulse, and the air felt thick with it. Lila pointed. There, over there, near gate 6. I followed her gaze, and my stomach lurched. Denise. She stood near the corner of the terminal, hood pulled up, arms crossed tightly like she was guarding something. Marcus, taller and broader, stood beside her, glancing around with calculated caution. Their bags were at their feet. They hadn't boarded yet. My entire body went rigid. Tanya placed her hand on my arm. You ready? I didn't answer. I just started walking. My feet felt heavy, but determined, each step powered by a mixture of pain, anger, and the kind of clarity you only get when someone finally pushes you too far. Denise looked up just as we got close. Her eyes widened for a split second, not with guilt, not with fear, but with annoyance. Like I was the inconvenience. Ow, hell, she muttered under her breath. Marcus turned, jaw tightening as he clocked us. Thought you said you handled this. Denise hissed at him. I did. She wasn't supposed to show up. I stopped a few feet away. Well, here I am. Her lips tightened. Corey, you need to go home. This isn't your business. My voice was calm, eerily calm. You stole my money. You emptied my account. You made it my business. Marcus stepped closer, chest puffing. We don't have time for this. The bus leaves in 10 minutes. Tanya moved up beside me. She's not going anywhere until you explain yourselves. Denise rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Y'all act like I committed a crime. I told Corey I needed the money. She knew I was struggling. I stared at her, stunned. Struggling? Denise, you lied. You said you were helping me rebuild after the divorce. She shrugged. I helped you with what I could. But I needed help too. That wasn't help. That was theft. Her eyes flashed with something cold. It wasn't theft. If you owed me, my breath caught. Owed me? For what? She lifted her chin. Mama always gave you more. More support, more attention, more praise. You got the house. You got the savings. You got everything. I just took what should have been mine. Lila gasped. Auntie Denise, what are you saying? Nana loved both of you. Denise waved her off. You don't understand. You're just a kid. No. Lila stepped forward, her voice shaking but firm. I'm someone who believed in you, someone who defended you, and you used me too. Denise flinched, but only for the briefest second. Then she set her jaw. I did what I had to do. Tanya scoffed. No, you did what you wanted to do, and you dragged Marcus into this. Marcus stiffened. Actually, I'm the one helping her. She came to me, not the other way. My blood ran cold. You knew she was stealing from me? I asked him. He shrugged. I knew she needed cash fast. Didn't ask too many questions. Denise glared at him. Marcus, shut up. No, I said firmly. Let him talk. But Marcus stepped back, raising his hands. This ain't my drama. I stepped closer to Denise, my voice low. Why, Denise? Why hurt me like this? Her lips trembled just once before hardening again. Because I was tired of watching you win. The words hit like a slap. My heart cracked. Deep, painful, irreversible. That's what this was about? Jealousy? She shrugged again. Cold. Call it what you want. For a moment, everything around me went silent. No announcements, no chatter, just the sound of my own heartbreak echoing in my chest. Then the rage came. Not screaming rage, not wild rage, quiet rage, cold, sharp, steady. I reached into my purse, pulled out Mama's envelope, and held it up between us. You want to know what Mama left me? I said softly. The truth. She removed you from her accounts because you stole from her too. Denise's face drained of color. You're lying, she whispered. I handed the paper to her. She snatched it, scanned it, then froze. Completely froze. No, she whispered. She told me she forgave that. She told me she forgave you, I said, stepping even closer, but she didn't trust you. Her hands shook around the paper. Marcus cursed. We need to go now. He reached for his bags, but Tanya blocked him. You take one step, and I'm calling the police. He blinked slowly. You don't have proof. Oh, but I do, I said, pulling the flash drive from my pocket. Marcus looked rattled. Denise backed away from me, shaking her head. No, you wouldn't. Denise, I whispered, you stole $51,000. You committed fraud and you used my bank login information. I don't want to call the police, but you're leaving me no choice. Her eyes darted around the terminal, frantic. You wouldn't do that to me, she said. Corey, we're sisters. We're family. You can't throw me in jail. My voice cracked as I answered, I didn't put you here. You did. She opened her mouth to protest, but then behind us, a security guard began walking toward our group, clearly noticing the tension. Marcus tensed, Denise panicked, and suddenly, without warning, she grabbed her bags and ran.
The sound of my own heartbeat was louder than the wind sliding across the empty parking lot. I had parked outside Mama's house, but couldn't bring myself to go in yet. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles looked bleached. I had rehearsed what I needed to say at least 50 times, how I'd finally found the proof, how I wasn't backing down, how Aunt Lorraine wasn't going to walk around this family acting like I was some ungrateful liar. But the moment I stepped out of the car, the weight of the last few months sat heavy on my back. I stood there in the dusk, staring at Mama's doorstep, trying to gather the courage to knock. My mama deserved honesty. She deserved the truth, but she also deserved peace. And every time my name and Lorraine's were mentioned in the same sentence, the whole family got stirred up like a pot of boiling gumbo. Hot, messy, everybody spilling over. I inhaled deeply and finally forced myself up the steps. Mama opened the door before I could knock twice. Her eyes softened the way they always did when she saw me. Baby, you okay? You look tired. That word tired didn't even scratch the surface of what I felt. Mama, we need to talk. She didn't fuss, didn't hover. She just led me inside, turned off the TV, and sat down across from me. Her posture alone said she already suspected something was wrong. Go on. Say what's on your heart. My throat tightened. Mama, I found out what happened to the $51,000. Her face changed so fast it almost hurt to watch her. Her eyebrows rose, then dropped, then drew tight together. What you mean? I thought the bank was still... It wasn't the bank. I swallowed hard. It was Lorraine. Mama's breath froze in her chest. Lorraine? My sister Lorraine? No, baby, no. She wouldn't. She did. I have the paperwork. I have the transfers. I have her signature. Her forged version of mine anyway. And she's been lying this whole time. Mama pressed her hand to her mouth as though she needed to keep her emotions from spilling out. Lord have mercy. And the worst part? My voice broke. She told me I owed her. She said the money was hers because of all the sacrifices she supposedly made. I shook my head, feeling the anger rise again. Mama, she left me damn near homeless after the divorce, all while acting like she was helping me. Mama stood slowly, walked to the window, and stared into the dark. I could see her shoulders shaking. I raised y'all to love each other, she whispered. I raised this family to be better than this. I wanted to reach out, but part of me felt guilty. Guilty for dragging her back into the middle of a battlefield she didn't deserve. Mama, I don't want to hurt you, I said softly. But I can't let Lorraine keep walking around like she didn't destroy my life. She turned around, eyes full of hurt and disbelief. I should have seen the signs. Your aunt been carrying bitterness and jealousy like a second skin, always talking about who owes her what. I kept making excuses for her. We all did. She walked back toward me and sat down slowly. What you plan to do next? I exhaled. The decision I'd been wrestling finally clear. I'm pressing charges. I'm getting a lawyer, and I'm getting my money back.
or I'm making sure she answers for what she did. Mama closed her eyes. You know the family ain't gonna like that, she whispered. They're already taking her side over things they don't even understand. I know, I said. She reached for my hand. If this is the road you're taking, I won't let you walk it alone. Her voice wavered, but her grip didn't. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to stability. My heart steadied. But just as I opened my mouth to thank her, we heard rapid footsteps outside, and then a sudden knock, hard, impatient, familiar. Mom and I froze. She looked at me with wide eyes. I already knew. It was Lorraine, and she wasn't here to apologize. She was here for a fight. The knock came again, louder, sharper, like Lorraine was daring us not to open the door. Mama's hand slipped from mine as she stood, her face tight with a mix of dread and protective anger I hadn't seen in years. I rose too, my pulse thumping in my throat. Everything in me wanted to tell Mama to let her knock until her knuckles bled, but I knew Lorraine well enough to know she wouldn't leave. Not tonight, not when she sensed her lies were unraveling. Mama opened the door only halfway. Lorraine, what you doing here? Lorraine pushed it the rest of the way open like she owned the house. We need to talk, she snapped, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Her eyes burned straight into mine, but they were wide, frantic, not the cool, smug eyes she'd shown me the last time we spoke. Why you running around telling folks I stole from you? She hissed. I didn't move. Because you did, Lorraine scoffed, tossing her purse onto Mama's couch like she was settling in for an argument she expected to win. You really gonna stand here and pretend like you didn't owe me that money? I took care of you after that divorce. I helped you keep your lights on. I helped you. My voice cracked in disbelief. You drained the only thing standing between me and the street. Lorraine folded her arms tightly across her chest. Girl, grown women pay their debts. Your daddy owed me money, that means you owed me money. Mama gasped. What foolishness is that? James never owed you a dime. Yes, he did. Lorraine whipped around, face twisting. When he passed, he left things unfinished, and I was the one who had to pick it all up. Nobody else stepped in. Nobody else did a thing. That's a lie, and you know it, Mama said, stepping forward. You making things up to justify stealing from your own niece. Lorraine pointed at me. She was supposed to pay me back. That $51,000, that was mine. Then why'd you hide it? Why lie? Why forge my name? Why steal behind my back instead of saying you needed help? Her mouth opened, but no words came out. For the first time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Fear, guilt, something cracking inside the story she'd clung to for years. But it lasted only a second. Then she snapped back into the version of herself she loved to perform. Because I knew you wouldn't give it willingly. You act like you better than the rest of us. You act like your pain matters more. My pain came from you. Lorraine's jaw clenched. I did what I had to do, and if you had any sense, you dropped this whole lawyer mess. Mama stepped between us. You think you can walk in here and bully her into letting this go? Lorraine, you crossed the line no family member should ever cross. Lorraine sneered. Family? Y'all drop that word whenever it suits you. I took a slow breath, feeling something inside me shift. A steadiness, a clarity I hadn't had since before my divorce. Lorraine, I'm done arguing with you. I know what you did. I have the proof. And I'm not backing down. She blinked, thrown off by my calm tone. You really gonna do this to me? No, I said softly. You did this to yourself. Mama nodded firmly beside me. You need to leave, Lorraine, before you say something you can't take back. Lorraine's jaw trembled with rage. She snatched her purse, stormed to the door, then turned like she wanted one last chance to break me. If you press charges, don't expect this family to stand with you. I lifted my chin. If the family can't stand with the truth, then I don't need them to. Something cracked in her expression. Shock, maybe even hurt, before she slammed the door so hard a picture frame rattled off the wall. For a long moment, Mom and I just stood there in silence, both of us breathing hard, both of us taking in the aftermath of a storm that had been building for years. Mama finally sank onto the couch. Baby, that woman ain't right. She ain't been right for a long time. I sat beside her. I know. She turned toward me, her eyes soft but full of worry. You sure you ready for what comes next? This won't be easy. I nodded slowly. I don't have a choice. She stole my entire safety net. She left me struggling when I was already fighting to rebuild my life. If I don't stand up now, she'll keep hurting people. Mama took my hand again, gripping it once more with that same unwavering strength. Then we faced it together. I felt something rise inside me. Not fear, not anger, but resolve. But before I could say anything, my phone buzzed on the table. When I picked it up, my stomach dropped. It was a text from my cousin Aisha. Girl, you need to see what Lorraine just posted about you. A chill ran through me. What had Lorraine done now?
My hands trembled as I opened Aisha's message. A second buzz came through before I could even tap the screen. Aisha again. Check Facebook. Like, right now. My stomach knotted. I opened the app, and the first thing I saw was Lorraine's face plastered across my feed. She had gone live, a full 20-minute rant, and the video had already been shared by half the family. My chest tightened as I clicked play. There she was, sitting in her living room, crocodile tears smeared across her cheeks. Y'all, I'm heartbroken. She sniffled dramatically. I've been nothing but good to my niece. I took her in when she had nothing. I helped her rebuild her life after that divorce tore her up. And how she repay me? She choked out a shaky breath. She accusing me of stealing. Stealing? Me? The same auntie who raised her like she was my own? My whole body tensed. Mama, who'd been sitting beside me, leaned forward and squinted. She lying with confidence, Lord have mercy. Lorraine kept talking, spinning a web of manipulation so thick I could feel the sticky strands wrapping around my ribs. I never stole a dime. The money she say was hers was money she owed this family. Money her daddy owed me years before he passed. But I didn't want to cause no drama, so I kept quiet. Now she threatening to drag me through court. I felt my skin burn hot. And then came the part that made my breath leave my lungs entirely. She unstable, Lorraine whispered into the camera, lowering her voice like she was confiding in a therapist instead of slandering me to the whole world. She not okay mentally, and I love her, but I can't let her destroy me with these lies. Y'all pray for her. She needs help, not a courtroom. Mama's mouth fell open. Oh, she'd have lost her mind. My vision blurred for a second. Anger, betrayal, exhaustion, all churning together. She didn't just twist the story. She attacked my sanity. She made me out to be some broken woman who couldn't tell up from down. And the comments, Lord, Lorraine, we love you. She always been jealous of you. That girl need healing. She sound ungrateful. Family don't do family like that. Each new comment felt like someone pressing a bruise. I closed the video before the bitterness could swallow me whole. I set my phone on the table and covered my face with both hands. Mama, she's turning them all against me. Mama slid closer and wrapped her arm around me. Baby, you can't fight lies with silence. Let the truth speak. You ain't crazy. You ain't unstable. You're a woman who was betrayed. But even as she spoke, a heavy wave of doubt filled my chest. I'd spent months rebuilding myself after the divorce. I'd worked hard to feel grounded again. And with one video, Lorraine had dug her nails into the softest parts of me. Mama squeezed my hand. Don't let her shame you into hiding. I inhaled slowly. I'm not hiding. Not anymore. The next morning, I met with the lawyer I'd been emailing for days, a firm-voiced black woman named Miss Davenport, who looked at the paperwork, the bank statements, the forged signatures, and nodded once, slow but certain. This is felony-level theft, and you have an airtight case. Airtight? I repeated, almost stunned. Aunt or not, she committed a crime. And her online behavior? Good. The more she talks, the more she reveals. She folded her hands. But I need to ask, are you prepared for the emotional pushback from your family? Because it's coming. I closed my eyes for a moment. The idea of facing a room full of relatives who thought I'd lost my mind made my stomach flip. But then I saw myself months earlier, sitting alone in my small apartment, counting dollars like they were oxygen, praying I could stretch what little resources I had. I remember waking up every night terrified I'd end up sleeping in my car. I remember trusting Lorraine when she smiled and said I would handle everything. Yes, I said, I'm ready. The lawsuit was filed 2 days later. And Lord, when the family found out, it was like throwing a match on dry grass.
Messages poured in, some harsh, some confused, some downright cruel. My cousins dragged me on Facebook. My uncle said I was disrespectful. Even relatives I hadn't seen in years came crawling out of the cracks with opinions. But Mama never left my side. The investigation moved quickly. Lorraine had left a trail so wide and sloppy even a child could follow it. The forged documents, the IP addresses, the transfers, the timestamps, each one a nail in the coffin of her lies. And when she finally realized the law wasn't on her side, she reached out, begging for a conversation. I ignored every call. On the morning of the hearing, Lorraine showed up with shaking hands and smeared makeup, looking far smaller than the giant she pretended to be online. She avoided my eyes. Her attorney pulled me aside before we entered the courtroom. She wants to settle, he said quietly. She'll return the full $51,000 and issue a written admission of wrongdoing if you agree not to pursue jail time. I felt the room tilt for a moment, not from shock, but from the weight lifting off my shoulders. Mama looked at me with calm, steady eyes. Baby, choose peace. Not for her. For you, I nodded. The settlement was signed that afternoon. My money was returned within 48 hours, and Lorraine's written admission was sent to every family member who had turned against me. Most of them stayed quiet after that. A few called to apologize. A few couldn't bring themselves to face me. I didn't need them anymore. With the money restored, I finally got my life back on track. I found a new apartment, enrolled in a financial planning course, and started rebuilding the confidence life had tried so hard to break. I learned boundaries, I learned protection, and I learned the hard truth that blood alone doesn't make someone family. Sometimes survival means saving yourself, and sometimes healing means letting people fall out of your life so you can rise in your own. I sat on my new balcony weeks later, sipping tea, peace finally settling over me. The air felt different, lighter, more honest. I thought about everything I'd been through and how close I'd come to giving up, but I didn't. I rose, I healed, and I won. If you learned something new from my life story, please like this video, subscribe for more stories like mine, and comment down below where you're watching this video from. I'd truly love to know.